Welcome back to Dash Explore. I'm Sarah and I'm beyond excited for this week's episode because today we are going to be talking about Christmas markets. So if you've been around for the last year, you know that last winter we went to Europe and we went to several Christmas markets across France and Germany, and we had the best time. And now that it is fall and the weather is starting to cool down and Christmas isn't too far off in the future, we wanted to sit down and share our tips and tricks for taking your kids to the Christmas markets in Europe. But for a quick overview, we went to the Tuileries Gardens market in Paris. We actually ended up going there twice. We went to the Stuttgart Christmas market in Germany, and we also traveled to Metz, France, and did the Metz Christmas market in all of the town of Metz. So like I said, we had a phenomenal time at all of the Christmas markets that we went to, and now let's jump into our tip number one for taking your family to the Christmas market, and that is to prepare ahead of time. So luckily, we were doing a lot of research for this trip. We were really nervous to take our kids to Europe for the first time, and we actually didn't even plan to go to the Christmas markets. That was not what this trip was about. So some of the ways that we prepared ourselves was to watch YouTube videos. And obviously, if you are watching this video, you might also be having a Christmas market trip in your future, and so you are on the right track. One of the videos that we found the most helpful was made by Frenchies. We talked about them a lot in our Paris videos, but they are a couple that lives in Paris, and they make all kinds of videos about how to get around Paris, where to eat, what to do, and all kinds of things that are super helpful. But their Christmas market video they made was a huge game changer for us. They talked about the different markets around Paris. They talked about the specific foods that are common to see at a lot of the French Christmas markets. And I will link that video down in the description because I still can picture scenes from it. And that just really helped us to know what to expect going into the Christmas markets. And I recommend if you know which specific markets you're going to try to find something similar to that for the market that you're going to, so that you kind of know what to expect, what kind of food to look for, what the stalls look like, just all of those things, because I think that will help you mentally prepare for what you're getting yourself into. I also tried doing research on the cities we were going to and where their Christmas markets would be, and sometimes it's really hard to find specific information that is for the right year and correct for what's going on right now. So that can be a little tricky to navigate, and that's why I found YouTube to be a little bit of a better resource. So my tip number two for taking your kids to the Christmas market is to think about safety. They can get super packed, and I think that we might have experienced one of the heights of the Christmas markets when we were there. We were there the first weekend of December, so I think the Christmas season was really in full swing now that it was December, and we saw some huge crowds at these markets. It can feel super overwhelming, especially if you're traveling with little kids like we did. Delaney was only 11 months old at the time, and Haley was 3.5, so just trying to make sure that everybody was together and stayed with us felt pretty stressful. And some of the things that we did to alleviate that stress a little bit was, first of all, we brought our stroller every time, even though we knew the markets would be crazy. There were so many kids there, tons of strollers. We were not the only people, but to have a dedicated space where you can put your kids and keep everybody together, that was a huge, huge lifesaver. And again, all the walking, Haley could only walk but so far, so to have her glider board or to have her sit in the stroller seat was definitely a huge help for safety. We also brought our baby carrier, so honestly, for the most part of the markets, we ended up wearing Delaney, and I'll get into a little bit that in a minute of why I also think that was a benefit for her, but that way we had her strapped to us, so she wasn't going anywhere, and Haley was safe in the stroller. That I think that really helps to keep everybody together. The next thing that we did for safety was air tags. So we purchased 2 air tags before we went on our trip, and the main reason we bought them was to put them in our suitcases so that we could make sure we could track them. But we did end up sticking them in the girls' coat pockets when we went out in the city, but specifically when we went into the Christmas markets. They were just kind of in the inside pocket, and they were all bundled up, so there was no risk of them falling out. But just knowing that there was something on there that if we got separated in the chaos of the crowd, we had a way to track them and to find them, and just something small like that for your peace of mind can go a long way. And one last thing to fall under the safety category is to talk to your kids about what to do if they get separated from you. It is super important to have plans with your kids, and although it can be kind of uncomfortable to talk about getting lost if that's something that's never crossed their mind, but it is also something that is a reality and something that's important to talk to them about. So make sure that they know what to do if you get lost. So the big thing that we tell Haley is that if she realizes that she is lost from us, that she needs to stop moving. Don't keep walking, don't follow the crowd, just stay where you are. And then the next thing she needs to do is to look for a family that has kids, and that is probably going to be her best bet to find somebody that is safe, that will actually help her find us if we get lost in the crowd. Obviously, this plan gets a lot more difficult if you are traveling to Europe and you are in a country that does not speak the same language as you, so that provides a little bit more of a barrier, but definitely looking for a family, trying your best to communicate help, and that mom and dad are going to do everything to find you the second that they realize that you're lost. So again, I know that a lot of that stuff is kind of scary to think about, but they are just so crowded that it's important to have these conversations, to do some of these safety measures. So just, worst case scenario, you have a plan and you have ways that you can help to keep your kids and your family safe. I also will add that at no point did I feel unsafe on our trip and in the Christmas markets. It was just that there's a lot of people there, and in crowds, things can happen. It's better to be prepared. All right, tip number 3, and this is probably our biggest regret and problem that we had for our Christmas market trip, is to dress appropriately for the weather. So we went into this trip thinking that it was going to be like highs in the 50s, lows in the mid to upper 30s, and that was not what ended up happening when we got there. We so lucked out. There was no rain. We didn't have any of that, which I really thought was gonna be a big problem. But it was like high of 35 to 40 every day, and then it would get even colder at night. And we were fine as adults, but we did not bring enough clothes for the girls, and I still feel really bad about it, and it has been almost a year since our trip. Poor Delaney, her little extremities were so cold, and I think the biggest mistake that we made was the first night we were in Paris, we saw a baby in like a full body snowsuit. We had seen them in the grocery store, like Target store they had that was right down the street from our apartment, and we almost went and bought one, and we were like, no, she'll be fine. That was a huge mistake. It only got colder the longer we were on the trip, and no matter what blankets or how many pairs of pants or how many pairs of socks and jackets, I just don't think she was warm enough the whole trip. So if you're bringing a small baby like under 18 months to 2 years that's not going to be doing any walking in the markets, I would highly recommend either bringing with you or buying some kind of like full snowsuit. Blankets really aren't going to cut it. Really look at the weather. Don't be afraid to buy extra layers once you get there. Every country has children in it. If you need extra clothes or extra layers, go to the store and buy some. And I am hoping that by me sharing my experience, you will be a little bit more prepared, because that was our biggest mistake. And this is where I was talking about wearing Delaney, I think was the best we could do. We were kind of trying to zip her into our coats and use our body warmth to help to warm her up, but that poor girl was pretty chilly. So please be prepared, bring extra layers, do better than we did. And my next tip for Christmas markets is to try something new. There is going to be so many different kind of foods that you've never seen before, and it could be food that you eat regularly, like potatoes or sausages or things that you eat commonly, but I guarantee you it's probably prepared in a way that you have never had before. So definitely try at least one new thing on your trip, and encourage your kids to do this as well. This is something that we hope to do on all of our trips, not just in Christmas markets, to encourage our kids to try the local food, and even if they just lick it or smell it or squeeze it, do something to interact with this new food so that they can experience something new. We really want to also set that example for ourselves as well. So we tried all their new potato dishes. Andrew had escargot for the first time. Haley was even brave enough to sip some of the oyster juice out of a raw oyster. And there was just so many different food options that I hadn't even seen before, that I highly encourage you to try something new, have your kids try something new, and just really enjoy the cultural experience that it is to be in a European Christmas market. And then kind of on that same note, my next tip is to say yes. Your kids are going to be in Christmas heaven, and you're in Europe. It's this magical, wonderful experience. Say yes to the hot chocolate. Also helps if you're cold, drink hot chocolate. Say yes to going on the rides, the carousel. We rode the carousel, I don't even know how many times. We went on a carousel in every market that we went to. She rode them every time, but every time it was like, we're in Europe at the Christmas market. Say yes. Say yes to these experiences. Let them enjoy the magic of the market, and even for yourself as an adult. Andrew asked if I wanted to ride the giant carousel at the Tuileries Gardens market in Paris, and I was like, I don't really know. It's is it really worth it? But it was so magical to see the market from above, to be able to see the Eiffel Tower, to just have that whole experience. I think that was one of everybody's favorite parts of the trip. So, say yes to those experiences and just really enjoy being there, and especially enjoy being there with your kids, because it's definitely a memory that they're going to remember for a long time to come. And then my last tip to kind of wrap it all up, and it definitely goes with my last two tips, is to enjoy it. Christmas markets are so magical. Like I said, we went at the first week of December last year, and I was just starting to get in the Christmas spirit at home, but to be in that market with all the lights and the trees, and especially the German Christmas markets, their stalls were so beautifully decorated, and just the smells of the food, and it was all this comfort food, the spiced wine, which was so Christmassy and delicious. It is such a magical and wonderful experience. It is such a great way to get into the Christmas spirit with your family, to have that time together, especially, I mean, if you're taking your kids, you are making these wonderful memories as a family, and just soak it all in, take pictures, take videos, and enjoy every second, because it is definitely something that you're gonna remember forever, and probably something that you're gonna wanna go back and do again, because it was incredible. And if you are here because you are getting ready to plan a Christmas market trip for your family, I am so excited for you. It is gonna be amazing. So enjoy every second, enjoy that time with your family, and get into the Christmas spirit. So those are my tips and tricks for taking your kids to the Christmas markets in Europe. If you've been to the Christmas markets in Europe and you have any other tips or suggestions for anybody, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed today's content and you found it helpful, please hit the like button. And if you enjoy all of our travel content, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you can get notified when we post new videos. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up. And if you want to follow more of our family travel adventures, you can also follow us on Instagram @Explore. And thank you so much for watching today, and we will catch you in the next one.